I'm David CROSSETT, founder of RV Masters, and this video that you're about to watch comes from the RV Masters Buyer's Track video series. These videos are available online. They are being pre-released. It is a series all about buying an RV, and I promise you this information is not available anywhere else. Check that out at rvmasters.com and have a great time watching. I'm David CROSSETT, founder of RV Masters, and this video is titled, Start This Adventure with Your Eyes Open. There's a lot to know about RVing, and it's not just about tank sizes, gross vehicle weight, or sleeping capacity. Those are the mechanics, which we'll get to. But having your eyes open means seeing the bigger picture, understanding the environment that you're entering, and how these things can affect you, some of which you have control over, but some of which you don't. We're going to cover 11 very specific points that you need to know. It's some heavy information, and you might feel like I punched you in the gut by the time that we're done, but I want you to remember what I said earlier. The fun that you can have with an RV is amazing. There's nothing else like it in the world. This information will help you get to that fun so that you don't have to learn it the hard way. Now I'm going to start out and I'm going to give you my number one most important tip that will help save you thousands and thousands of dollars when buying an RV. And it's really the purpose of this whole series. You ready for it? So here it is. Don't buy the wrong one the first time. Now, I know that sounds kind of trite or maybe even sarcastic, but this happens every day, even when the consumer thinks that they're educated about it. There's a lot of money to be made from poorly researched or ignorant consumers. The less you know, the more you're going to spend. Based on my experience, nearly half the people that buy RVs do little to no research. They visit a dealership with the intention of learning more about them, and they end up buying an RV right on the spot. But if you don't know what you don't know, and you buy an RV not fully understanding your own lifestyle and how to use it, there's a good chance you're going to learn the hard way the features or qualities that you really wanted or needed are not in that RV. When you buy the wrong RV, you don't have as much fun and you can't use it the way you wanted to. You can't just return these or quickly sell them for what you got into it or make major modifications to them. Buying the wrong RV will cost you thousands of dollars to rectify. But I want you to notice, I'm not saying that there's only one RV out there or the perfect RV. Lots of RVs will fit your lifestyle. But there are certain things that can make any RV the wrong RV for you. So this list is about the industry and some of the things that might help you put your buying experience into perspective. I have 11 points to cover, so let's get started. Number one, RVing will cost you more than you think it will, but it doesn't have to cost you more than it needs to. Everything we do has a cost, whether you enjoy boating or motorcycling, golfing, or even something as simple as fishing or quilting. It often costs more than you think it's going to, and there's always something more to buy. RVing is no different, but there is a pitfall that you want to avoid. In order to sell you an RV, a salesperson has to make the dream look bigger than the reality. It's easy to buy when you're told, hey, it's just like a house, or we'll show you what you need to know, or it's all you need to get started. These statements make us feel safe and confident that we're doing the right thing, but what they don't do is prepare us for the reality, which can be a big letdown when it happens. So let me give you an analogy. Let's say that you want to get into photography and you head down to the local camera store. Well, of course they're happy to sell you a camera. They'll probably tell you that it's easy to use, just point and click, and you can get started right away. It's all that you need to get started. What they won't tell you often is that you're going to need a lot of those products that are right behind you on those shelves. If they told you about lighting and lenses, stands, backdrops, batteries, cases, straps, color correction cards, faster SD cards, chargers, and those things are going to be thousands of dollars when you purchase them, you just might not buy that camera, especially if you hadn't thought it through or you're buying it kind of spontaneously. But it turns out that you need those things to get the most value out of the camera that you just bought. RVs are somewhat similar, but the big difference is this. With a camera, it takes time to develop the skills that you need to need those advanced items. And not having those items doesn't completely waste your time or resources. You still can take pictures all year long, you just won't quite get the full benefit of what that camera can do. But how many vacations do you take each year? When you plan a trip, take time off work, get the family together with your friends, and then realize that you don't have what you need in order to enjoy the RV, that's a serious letdown. And unlike the camera analogy, this need doesn't happen over time. This is stuff that you need right out of the gate when you get started. Ask me about my family reunion. When I committed to being the Friday night cook and learned too late I didn't have the right propane adapter. Barbecue chicken turned into hot dogs over a fire. Did it kill me? No, but it sure wasn't the experience that I had hoped for, and all I needed was a $7 adapter. I didn't know about it, I was very frustrated, and then of course somewhat embarrassed. The point is this: you need more accessories and adapters than you realize, and you will need to spend more than just the cost of the actual RV. So be prepared for that. But knowing what you need will save you a lot of time, money, and frustration. Okay, point number 2, and this one drives me the craziest maybe out of all of them, okay? An RV is not a house on wheels. You will hear this phrase over and over as you do your shopping. Hey, it's just like a house. I have a great YouTube video about this and I go into some detail about it, but I'll cover the high level here. You don't use it like a house, or clean it like a house, or maintain it like a house. You don't have to turn the toilet on in order to use it at home. You don't have to ask your wife to unplug the curling iron so that you can make a bag of popcorn. The reason that you'll hear this is because it helps you to overcome your fear of what you don't know. It helps you relate to something that you're familiar with and comfortable with, but it's wrong. Number 3, what am I gonna do when I get to 11? You'll need to become a planned out person if you're not already. Finding a place to take this is not like it used to be. There are limited campgrounds and they're not building new ones as fast as they're selling new RVs. They sell about 400,000 RVs each year and there's only so many places to go. Walmart used to be a wonderful resource to stay at as I traveled across the country, but they're starting to restrict access to that, and so are neighborhoods, larger malls, and local businesses. In many, many parts of the country, much more on the East Coast often, you might be out 9 months for a camping spot. When I was in New York, it was very common for most people to be 9 to 12 months out, planned for the camping spot they were going to use. You need to be aware that depending on where you live and how you RV, you may not have the freedom to just up and leave with no thought of your destination or timing. It can be frustrating to find full campgrounds mile after mile and then try to find a safe place to stop when you're in an unfamiliar town and it's 11 p.m. This can have a great impact on your fun, so it's important to be aware of it. All right, number 4, be prepared for a whole new experience when it comes to parts and service. I did 1 or 2 YouTube videos on this in depth, so check out my YouTube channel for that. Most people only have experience with parts and service as it pertains to their automobile or their truck. We're used to just making an appointment or maybe even just showing up on the spot, getting a diagnosis, and having the parts and the fix in the next 24 to 48 hours. This is not at all the experience that most of you likely will have with an RV. You'll often be told of the great service that you're going to receive after you buy the RV, or the dealer will tell you how long their service personnel have been around, how trained they are, or how much experience they have servicing RVs. The truth is, service is one of the biggest problems in the industry, and it can be a source of extreme frustration and high costs if you're not prepared for it. Let me give you an example. And this isn't as unique as you might think it is. I had a problem with the full wall slide on my particular coach. It's a very common slide mechanism, at least I would have thought so. When I took my RV in to get diagnosed, they needed 3 days just to get to it. Service shops are busy and you have to get in line. It's just the way that it is. Once they confirmed the issue, they needed to work with the manufacturer to determine if it was still covered under the original warranty. That took 2 days. When it wasn't, they had to deal with my extended service contract company to make sure it'd be covered. That took 3 days. Then they were able to order the part. So now I'm 8 days into this and we just ordered the part. The manufacturer literally had to make the part from scratch, which I learned was not uncommon, and they wanted just over 3 weeks to do it. So after 3 weeks, the part shipped and it took a few days to get installed. All in all, my RV sat in the shop unusable for just over a month, right in the middle of summer. Keep in mind, I'm full-time in this thing. I was lucky to be able to live in it on the lot, which was inconvenient and awkward, but many people are not so lucky and they need to make accommodations while their RV is being serviced. Again, I emphasize, this is not uncommon in the RV industry. So what can you do about this? First, learn to use your RV so you're not making the common new owner mistakes. There are at least 10 basic mistakes that every newbie RVer makes that are totally avoidable. Second, learn to do the simplest things yourself, even if you don't consider yourself a handyman. It's much easier to get a staple gun and fix the hanging piece of trim than it is to take it into the dealership. Third, if you do require service, bundle up all your problems and take it in to get them all dealt with at once, preferably, of course, at the end of the season. Another thing that you can try is to work with the warranty or the service contract company ahead of time, see if you can get pre-authorization or at least do some of the basic troubleshooting yourself to give the technician a head start. Though you have to be careful, you don't want to send them down on a wild goose chase if you're wrong on that stuff. In some cases, it's also easier and more efficient to just pay cash for the repair or the part, and so just keep that in mind. Number 5, RVs depreciate ridiculously fast. It could be as much as 50% in 2 years. It is true that once you drive it off the lot, you're going to take a big hit, just like buying a car or any other big ticket item. But this highlights what we talked about earlier. Buying an RV without the proper research could be a very expensive mistake. I know of an individual that purchased a $22,000 RV. He took it home, barely used it for 10 days, didn't even take it camping, and then later decided that it was too small for his needs and he wanted to upgrade. The dealership could only give him about $17,000 for this. And this is the problem. The dealership can't market an RV as new that has been purchased, titled, and crossed the curb. This is now a used RV, and the dealer can't sell a used RV for the same amount of money as a new RV. So the dealer has to stick to their trade-in formula, which can be a shock for somebody that just wants to switch to another RV. Now, there are reasons to buy new and take the depreciation hit, but we'll cover that later. Number 6, RVs are not meant to be heavily used. RVs differ drastically in terms of quality, so you have to consider very carefully the quality price point that you need to target. Some quality levels can only withstand about half a dozen uses a year without creating significant additional expenses to maintain the RV. Only a handful are meant for full-time usage, and they're actually marketed as such. But even that claim has some fine print that you're going to want to read before you assume what full-time or heavy usage means. One of the things to be aware of is that the main thing in the RV industry that is standardized are safety standards. Other than that, manufacturers can choose a variety of options to build their RVs, and they do their own quality checks, or they don't. Remember, these are hand-built by people, not robots. This hand building means that there will be different levels of quality, not only among manufacturers, but even among each additional coach that they build, even the same model. Nailing the cabinets together isn't 100% the same each time. Gluing the walls or cutting the counter or putting putty on the nails can be very different RV to RV, even if it's the same model. You can see this in action if you do enough RV manufacturer tours and watch a particular process for long enough. Like any good business, I believe the manufacturer's trying to hold a standard, and some do better than others, but here's a few fun realities. 1, if a wire's cut short or there's a shortage of ducting material or something like that, they might move a light switch or where they cut the duct out of the vent out of the floor. Second, vendors can run out of parts, and so they might switch halfway through a model's year where the earlier builds had one kind of sink or shower and the rest of them get a different kind of sink or shower. So 2 of the exact same RVs are really not the same RVs. Third, being human, different techs can wire or nail something up in a different way than the next guy. I might be more accurate at swinging a hammer than the guy next to me, or be more proficient with a staple gun. That shows in the finished product. What this all means is that you want to visually inspect and verify the RV before you buy, and don't buy blind. Check out the quality, check out each feature, make sure you are happy with everything that you see. Don't buy off a brochure, a website commercial, or having looked at the same model elsewhere and think that the one you ordered will have the same furniture, colors, options, or appliances. So wrapping up this point, you need to really consider how much you're going to be using the RV, in what environments, how many people or kids or animals will be jumping in it all summer, and how many miles you're going to be putting on it or towing it. You might find that you'll need to justify a change in quality and price to accommodate the reality of how you're going to use it. All right, point number 7, think about selling it when you buy it. Now, I'm kind of playing with words there, of course, but this is what I mean. Many large ticket items can be difficult to sell or get out of depending on how you get into it. financing options, down payments, style and options. All of these are factors that will determine what your options are when it comes time to upgrade or downgrade. I'll get into more detail on this in the financing video, but this is important. How you get into it will dictate how you get out of it. All right, number 8, this might blow your mind. Most people in the industry do not own RVs or RV actively. When you buy an RV, don't assume that the people helping you are experts in the using of it or how it might fit your lifestyle or the things that you need to consider for your situation. This is a seasonal industry, and in the high season, they are all working morning to night, 6 days a week. So there isn't time to go out with an RV, and of course, many people don't RV in the wintertime, so when are they supposed to go out? The people in the industry may be experts in features or comparisons to other RVs, but if they don't own one or haven't used one before, how are they in a position to help you make the best buying decision for your family? You need to be aware that dealers and salespeople go to sales shows, not family or full-time rallies. They attend marketing and sales conferences, not jamborees or owner meetups. They may be there as a sponsor or a vendor, but the capacity is there to sell, not experience. Okay, number 9, temperature regulation is nothing like a house. When shopping for an RV, people look for differentiators. What makes this RV better than that one? When it comes to heating and cooling, many people will get caught up in specifications, claims, BTUs, airflow, H-ducting, all kinds of marketing claims about efficiencies. The industry is always trying to find better efficiencies, and while there is a difference between the many products for heating and cooling, it is a safe bet that you will always be running your heater or your air conditioner all the time, depending on the season. Regulating the temperature in an RV is nothing like you're used to at home. So here's a few facts. The walls are only 1.5 to 2 inches thick, and they're just block foam, or they have manually spaced housing insulation. The windows are set in wide open holes, often with no surrounding insulation going up all the way to the frame. Corner joists can be left unsealed, and the roofing insulation doesn't always extend like all the way up to the air conditioner, the mount or the hole that was in the ceiling there. The problem is you're only as insulated as your weakest spot or biggest hole, so be prepared. Temperature regulation is a challenge, and you need to be tolerant of the seasons that you camp in. Number 10, RVs are 90% the same. Now, this is a controversial point for some people, but nonetheless it's true, and especially for those in the industry, RVs are much more similar than they are different. Manufacturers are constantly trying to come up with differentiators, but it's unbelievable how much they copy each other. When one changes a color scheme, many RVs will then be that color scheme. When a vendor runs out of a new product or comes out with a new feature, they all buy or create a similar feature. One of the things you need to know is that there's only so many vendors in the industry. Manufacturers have to buy from a very small set of vendors that provide these supplies. For example, in general, there's only 2 or 3 manufacturers for air conditioners. There are basically only 2 types of water heaters, maybe 3 if you include Aquahot and companies like them. It doesn't seem like it when you get started looking, but you should know that most RVs across all brands and even models are much more similar than different. When you start comparing feature to feature and understanding what those features are and not the marketing language, you'll discover that they're much more similar than they are different. Okay, point number 11, changing the process will be uncomfortable. Any mature industry has a pretty structured sales process. They figured out what works for the best profit and efficiency. This is true of the RV industry as well from a sales perspective. The sales process is usually very structured and designed to take a person from point A to point Z, and often on the same day. Some of the things that I'm going to teach you will cause you to be aware of the process that's happening to you, and as you work against that process, at some point it's going to be uncomfortable. Many people talk about the walkaway power in a negotiation to get a better price, but the truth is most people can't do it. And as a salesperson, we're taught that. They teach us that if I can smile and stare you down longer than you can stare at me, I'll get the price that I'm asking for. Many times, by the time the customer gets to that stage in the negotiation, they're tired or excited, the kids are acting up, the phone is ringing, it's the end of the day. There are a host of reasons for you to just say yes and keep it going. You will save the most money when you take control of the entire process, and that is going to create some discomfort. You have to be okay with that to save the most that you can. You can't let yourself be subject to the environment, the time, or the pressure. I'm going to teach you how to recognize what's happening, but it's going to be up to you to take the necessary action. These are just some of the basics that often surprise people when they get involved in RVing, and I haven't found much of this information easily available on YouTube or elsewhere. This isn't representative of every brand or model or dealership. This is also not inclusive of every buying situation or dealership engagement, but the chances of this information pertaining to you is better than it not pertaining to you. I'm sharing the common experience, not the superior one that some dealers do offer. Now let's move on to learn about the sales process and how to recognize what's happening to you. Now remember, that video that you just watched came from the RV Masters Buyer's Track series, what you need to know about buying an RV. That information is going to help you pick the right RV and save thousands and thousands when you actually buy it. Check that out at rvmasters.com.